There, ready to go.
All right, guys, welcome to Wealth Wednesday. It should be Wet Wealth Wednesday if you're in Atlanta. A little cold and
And
rainy
Charleston.
days, not going to stop us. Charleston, same way. But we're ready to rock and roll. Got the last couple of days of the month here in front of us. Got 3 days left today and tomorrow and Friday. And let's go finish strong. We had a great month going as a team. Many of you did a phenomenal job. Appreciate all that you do, every one of you are doing. And excited today for our program. We've got some great things to go over with you on some great fundamentals that we'll cover, led by a conversation by Kimberly, which we'll jump into in a few minutes. But we got a great partner, and we got Mauricio at the end to go over some things. But we got a great partner, Blake. It's Chrisan or Chrisen? Blake?
Kristen.
Chrisen. Blake Chrisen, who I had a chance to spend time with in San Antonio last week. We had a wonderful time. He's with F&G, and he's pretty much the face of F&G for the field. You got Tom Edgington, who does a great job, kind of at a corporate level and company level, and he's there when I need him. But when our teams need him, it's always been Blake, and he's doing a great job now. I'm excited for this group. This is kind of a newer group for you to proselyte with, Blake, if you will, for them to know the powers of F&G. We've got the other teams dialed in. The F&G is a tremendous company. They're another one of our great partners, as well as product providers. And Blake does a great job with that. So, Blake, we'll turn it over to you to maybe just introduce yourself, but also kind of introduce these guys to F&G, kind of let them know where things are and why F&G. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jody. Appreciate you having me on here. Good to meet everybody.
You bet.
So, like Jody was saying, I'm national account manager here at F&G. Been working at F&G about 3.5 years now. Been licensed for 7. I got to do my renewals to keep my license in the next 2 days before the end of the month. So that's what I'm sweating out right now. Anyone who's been licensed for a couple of years knows what I'm talking about. But excited to just talk about what F&G is all about. And the first thing where I want to start is just some of the resources we have available, because on the life side of our business at F&G, all we do is IULs. So those of you that are familiar with IULs know you're not going to learn all about IULs in 15 minutes. So I want to start with just going over some of the resources we have. Am I able to share my screen real quick, Jody or Kimberly?
Yes, you sure are.
Awesome. I had to send a request. There
There
we
you
go.
go. I
Thank
thought I
you
made
so
you
much.
co-host, but you're good
Oh, good.
now.
Oh, good. So, first things first, if you do not have my cell phone number saved, please save that. That's the one in the middle there, the 1426 number, along with my email. And like Jody was mentioning, Tom Edgington's my friend and mentor in this business. He's our vice president. But really, your day-to-day resources are going to be myself and Glenn Gomez. Glenn's our internal wholesaler. He does a fantastic job as well. So if there's ever anything we can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we have a tremendous sales team as well. So that 800 number on the side of the screen, if Glenn or I ever are not available the second you reach out, that is a great number to have saved, because there's 7 wholesalers that answer that phone, and they're able to give you immediate support when it comes to just running illustrations or product questions, or those situations where you're with a client and you need an answer in the next 5 minutes, right? That's a great resource to have, that 800 number as well. The other big benefit of that contact is they can patch in underwriters. So if you have risk assessment questions about a client's health, Glenn or I are not underwriters. We're going to have no idea. If it were up to me, we'd approve everybody, but that's not how this works, unfortunately. So if you call that 800 number, hey, my client has diabetes, client had whatever condition, they'll be able to patch in an underwriter to go over that with you. And our sales team can also go send you links we have to pre-recorded illustration tutorials and trainings that we host that are more of a full deep dive on our products. So what are our products, right? We have 2 IULs, PathSetter and Everlast. PathSetter is, and apologies, my screen share is going to cut out here, but PathSetter is our flagship IUL product. And it's one of the best in the industry when it comes to cash value accumulation. That's what its strength is. So if you run kind of those third-party site comparisons that show which illustrations in the industry grow the most cash value, PathSetter is at or near the top of that list pretty much at any age. So it's one thing, though, to have a tremendous illustration that shows great cash growth. is that illustration realistic, right? And PathSetter has indexes that have returned between 8 and 11% going on the last 20 years now. So clients who are looking to overfund their policy, build cash value, PathSetter is a tremendous fit there. And then Everlast is more of our death benefit focused IUL product. So clients who are more looking for permanent life insurance at an affordable premium that's going to last forever and not lapse. That's where the Everlast product is a tremendous fit for your clients.
Blake, did you want to share your screen?
Yes, I'm pulling it back up.
Okay, I just want to make sure you knew.
I
We
need a
see
new-
your cute little face, but not your PowerPoint.
I need I need a new laptop because it keeps
You're
cutting out.
all
But
here. That's
awesome.
okay. You're good.
So why does PathSetter work so well, grow so much cash value? I want to just take a brief step back and talk about IULs in general. So one of the great elements of an IUL is its flexibility. And IULs, you've probably heard them pitched for a lot of different concepts, right? Like life insurance, retirement planning, $1 million baby, etc. Anything looking to build cash value. It's a great fit for juveniles, for college funding, etc. But what makes that work so well is the flexibility of an IUL. And what I mean by flexibility is, let's use a term policy as an example, and I'm going to just ditch this. But when it comes to a term policy, you have the premium and the death benefit directly correlated, meaning if I want to double my face amount, I also have to roughly double my premium. They're tied together. You can't change one without changing the other. In an IUL, there's flexibility that comes with that, meaning for the same premium I'm paying, I can change the death benefit without changing the premium. And the analogy I always like to use is a seesaw. And if you're familiar on a playground, right, the seesaw, heavier child sits on one end, that end's going to go to the ground, the other end's going to go up. So if the IUL is a seesaw, one end of that is the death benefit that we're setting to start the policy. The other end is the cash value growth we're going to get in the long run in that IUL. So the lower we go on that death benefit, the higher that cash value is going to go. But we can do whatever we need to on the death benefit side without necessarily changing the premium. So for example, I just turned 30 years old. I don't have any children. I'm not married yet. So I need life insurance, but I don't need a crazy amount. Like the goal on my IUL is not to get the highest death benefit. I want the cash value growth. So for the premium I'm paying on my IUL, if I'm using that seesaw analogy, the death benefit's all the way on the ground and the cash value is as high as I can get it. But then conversely, another 30-year-old male with the same budget that does have the kids, does have a family, needs, you're doing your needs analysis and determine they need more life insurance than what that minimum death benefit on the IUL would give them. I can slide that death benefit up, and the trade-off is a little bit less cash value in the long run, but we still did that, got them the death benefit they need in their budget, and it'll build as much cash value as it can from there. And there's flexibility later on. Maybe today the client can afford X amount of premium, but they can double it down the road. They're going to get promotions, raises. They can pour more money into the policy as their budget goes up. Now, when you set that policy up and build the cash value, how is that cash value growing? It's all based on the performance of an index fund. And the most common index fund you'll see on an IUL is the S&P 500. And with that S&P 500, in an IUL, there's a floor. So there's downside protection, meaning if the market is negative, your client's not getting negative interest applied to their cash value. The floor is 0.25%. And now the trade-off for that is there's something called a cap rate, which is essentially a ceiling. So the highest it can go, if it goes above that cap rate, your clients are going to get capped and their returns will be whatever that cap rate is. So with F&G on PathSetter, it's a 12% cap rate. So it's anywhere between 0.25, 12% on the S&P. That's pretty standard in IUL markets. You'll see an S&P with a cap rate between maybe 9 to 12%. What makes PathSetter unique is there's two other diversification options that you can add in with the S&P index to give your clients more returns and more steady uncapped returns over time. So the biggest one is Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is a combination of the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, but putting those indexes together allow us to offer that uncapped. So that index, if the market does crazy well, you're not going to get capped on the returns, still have the same downside protection. So Morgan Stanley is returning around 10 to 11% going back the last 20 years. And then we have a BlackRock index that goes very well with that. And BlackRock is more of a volatility controlled index, meaning it's not going to be as volatile. It's going to be more steady, consistent returns that hedges really well with those equity indexes. So what I'm trying to paint the picture here is why this cash value is growing so well. And we have marketing material where you can read more about these indexes, understand more. But we have 3 tremendous index options that you can diversify, build great cash value for your clients. The second part of it is it's one thing to accumulate cash, and everyone talks about the accumulation. What about the decumulation? What about we've built up all this cash value in our IUL? We're 65 years old, we're retiring, we want to start using that money. Or maybe we took an IUL out on our child and that child's getting to college. We want to use some of that money to pay for college. What does that look like? And in an IUL, you get really unique loan options, with this being a life insurance policy, that are very different than, say, if you're just withdrawing money from the bank, right? So to use the bank analogy, if I have $100,000 in my savings account and I go pull out 30,000, the account value remaining in that savings account is 70,000. It's very straightforward, right? But if we use that same example in an IUL, say we have 100,000 of cash value on PathSetter, and we go take $30,000 in the form of our variable loan. The way that's going to look after we get that 30,000 is the IUL is still going to have an account value of 100,000 with a $30,000 loan against it. Not 70,000 remaining, it's 100,000 with a 30K loan remaining. Why is that important? When we go to credit the growth of those indexes I just talked about, S&P, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, let's say those indexes come back at an 8 to 10% return. We're going to credit 8 to 10% to the full 100,000. We're still giving credit to that $30,000 that you've taken out of the policy, and it's either in your checking account or you've already spent it as the client, right? You're still getting growth on that money. It's a participating loan. So the trade-off for that is there is a loan charge for it. The maximum loan charge we can charge, contractually guaranteed on PathSetter, 5% for that variable loan option. So if you do the math there, that $30,000 loan I took out, it's getting charged 5%, but the index is performed at 8% or 10%. Or maybe it's 2%, but the next year it'll be back up at 10 or 12%, right? Over time, the returns we're getting on that loan positively should be well north of 5% and offset the 5% we're getting charged. So that's what's called positive arbitrage, right? The net difference there, we're still making some growth on the money we've taken out of the policy. And that's really unique. There aren't a lot of other vehicles out there that offer that besides cash value life insurance. And what you want to look at for that loan option, a lot of different IULs or a lot of different policies offer it, but what is the maximum loan charge that they can charge for that loan? Not what is the company charging today, but what is the maximum? And that's where PathSetter being at 5% is huge. Never being able to charge more than 5 gives you an opportunity to really maximize your returns that you're still making on that borrowed money. So accumulate cash, decumulate with the IUL with PathSetter. To me, when I first started learning about what IULs were, I think I was struggling to wrap my head around how is this as good or better than a lot of these other 401ks or other vehicles you hear about? Because I know we have the death benefit set at more of a minimal amount to lower the charges, but there are still charges. So when I was 23 years old, just got my license, I was trying to wrap my head around why this was so beneficial. And when it really unlocked for me was when I understood that loan option. And I understood that, oh, I can take money out of this policy and this money's still going to grow. If our indexes average 8%, you're essentially averaging 3% returns on money you've already taken out of the policy and already spent. That's crazy cool. What other vehicle can do that, right? And when you eliminate the negative years in the market looks really good over time, right? So those were the 2 big things right there for me. And then
Hey, Blake.
Yeah, Jody.
Blake, one quick question, just so I can answer. I know the maximum is 5. Do you know what the charge is now?
It's 5. It's based on the Moody's corporate index, which is currently at like 5.6, I think. So we cap it at 5.
All right. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And then just to wrap this up is Both these policies come with the same living benefits. We've paid out tens of millions of dollars of living benefit claims at F&G. Very important element of this as well. And it's a fully underwritten product with fully underwritten rates that are beneficial to the client. But fully underwritten can sound scary because of the medical exam. So the good news is we don't have to do that medical exam. It's 100% exam free as long as the client is 60 or younger and the death benefit is 1 million or less. That's going to be most of our applications. That's kind of where PathSetter is really going to stand out is in that middle market range. Most apps we get are exam free within those guidelines, and we can also offer coverage to non-US citizens. If they have an ITIN, that's tremendous. We'll take it, but they don't even need to have a social or an ITIN. If they've been in the US at least a year, we can a majority of the time offer coverage. If you have any questions on that, call our sales team or call Glenn and I, and we're happy to talk more details on that and how that works exactly. But Jody, thank you for having me, and I got time for a couple questions if anyone has any.
Awesome. Any questions, guys? Just one or two, preferably from people that are licensed and have questions that are pertinent.
Go ahead, Sarabelle.
Hello. Yes, my question is like I would like to clarify that because I understood that when a person is has not even a ITIN number, like to apply, it would require at least the ITIN number. So that is not like that. And what documentation does the person need?
Great question. So instead of an ITIN, if they don't have an ITIN or a social, we'll take it's called a W-8 Ben form. W-8-B as in boy, E, N as in Nancy. If you just Google that, it's an IRS form. But if they fill out that form, it'll give us everything we need to help them verify their identity. And I think you made the point. The e-app makes you put something for social. You can just put like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, something to get by that, but then put a note that we're going to send in the W-8 Ben form to offset that requirement.
Okay, perfect.
And those of you that don't, or those of you that are not aware, F&G is our premier option in the Latino market. And that's where the majority of the business. Matter of fact, there was 15 people want a trip to San Antonio, and 13 or 14 of them were, teammates of ours that are either on this call or the leaders of the guys that are on this call. So do a wonderful job there. They do a great job. And just to let you know also, everything ebbs and flows between different companies as far as, speeds of underwriting and different things. And all companies go through challenges. F&G grew real fast, had a couple of things they needed to add staffing on, but they have done that, really got really good numbers. So they're pretty close to back to their fighting weight, if you will, and really doing a really good job with that. Blake's awesome. And guys, let me tell you why I love to hear these guys. You learn something every time. You learn another way to articulate a concept. And he told some things that I know, but he said them differently than I've heard others, and I like that. He does a very good, very I mean this in the ultimate compliment, very normal guy, common sense, down to earth way. And I think that that's something that a lot of times with us having so many people that are new, what we call greenies, you can see yourself articulating what he just did versus trying to come off as, somebody had been here 40 years and knows more than everybody else. A great job, Blake. Thank you so much. Appreciate you so much. And I really enjoyed being with you and can't wait to see you at Top Gun.
Same here, Jody. Appreciate it. And I live in Orlando, so this is a home game for me, Top Gun. I'm looking forward to it.
I like it. You have no excuse to be late, right?
Correct.
I love
I'm
it.
sure I still might be, but you're correct.
That's right. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you,
All
Jody.
right. Turn it back over to you, Kimberly. And we're going to go over now. This is it's important that you remember that when someone's brand new into business, till they've gone through and at least enrolled 3 business partners, if they're here to go on our building model, if someone's here to participate, partake of all the great things that HCI has to offer, they're here to build, and they're new, they need to, in the first couple of weeks, go out and begin their 330 process. Now, once that process is underway, and they're 2-3 weeks into things where they've got a couple of good people, hopefully 3 good people, and they're on their way. At that point, their mind's going to turn toward, getting themselves licensed and start learning a little bit. Well, a great fundamental place to learn basic Financial Services is a presentation we're going to show you now. Now, this is something that's been in the back office at HGI University in different ways. We want to kind of shine a light on it because I think it's fantastic and it's a great way for new people, not brand new people. Don't drown your people out. Remember what we're talking about. We're giving you this information, but we don't want to choke you with it, right? So please get this to people, but it's fantastic presentation. So Kimberly, you can take over on this part. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Well, I agree with you very much as far as Blake and his word choices and what he said. And for those of you that I've ever trained or you've heard me say it, like when we talk to clients or teammates from a financial perspective, we need to talk like third grade level. Our conversations need to be very simple. They need to be very easy to understand and not intimidating. For most people, money is intimidating, right? It's math. Nobody feels like they're very good at math, and it's emotional. So if we use, I always make the joke when I'm talking to clients or teammates that if I'm sitting in my mahogany office in my three-piece suit and I'm talking to you like I'm a brain surgeon because I want you to know how smart I am, you might do business with me because I've intimidated you or you just think I'm brilliant, but you don't understand, right? And that business doesn't stick. We want to make sure that you know what you're getting, why you're getting it. We want to teach it to you, and we want to have the word choices that we use simple. When he talked about the seesaw, I'd never heard of that. That example, right? His description, and everybody has been on a seesaw when they were younger, right? So you can visualize exactly what he's talking about. So I think that was a great description of what he said and his word choices today. So I agree with you 1,000% on that, Jody. Okay, so today Mauricio showed you this before. I'll show it to you again, but in our back office, not in our back office, but in Abacus, right? When we're logged into Abacus, down here on the left, there's a PowerPoint bank. And so today we were talking about what are we going to talk to people about? What should we teach them? And just kind of scrolling through some of these PowerPoints. And this one is, I think it's this new financial paradigms, or anyway, whatever. This is the one that we're going to go over today is this 8 principles of retirement. Some of you have seen that in the video form because it's inside Zyberzeus as well as like a membership or a funnel or something that you can send out to clients. It used to be in our back office under HGI University. There are 8 different principles. So obviously we're not going to do all of them today because you don't want to be here until 3 o'clock, but I probably will go over 2 or 3, and then we'll turn it over to Mauricio for the rest of the time today. But just in case you want to see where it is or you want to use this as an education piece, I think this could be a great piece of education that you deliver. What if you had a business, right, that you wanted to go in and you wanted to take 2 or 3 different visits to teach them the fundamental principles of retirement planning. This is a great one. This is something great that you can go over and great things that you can teach them. So just know where it is and know how to access it. Let me get your faces out of my screen quite so much. Okay, so fundamental principles of retirement planning. Let me see if I can click it. Okay, perfect. Obviously, we have a disclaimer on there that just says it's not intended to provide investment advice. It's just for your education, right? If we want specific conversations, we can have specific conversations because I don't know your business. But section number 1 is retiring in the 21st century. In this section, we will discuss, everyone envisions retirement a little bit differently. For some, it's an extended vacation. Others want to stay actively engaged with family, church, or community. When I'm talking to clients, I tell them, some people want to retire on a yacht and some people want to retire in their rocking chair on their front porch. 2 different things that we have to plan for in that example. But without a clear vision for retirement, preparation is difficult. Planning takes time, and being part of this class demonstrates that you care about your future. So retirement in the 21st century has its own unique set of challenges and pitfalls. Preparing for a prosperous retirement in today's world may require an adoption of updated strategies and paradigms because the world is different than when our grandparents retired, right? So the old paradigm our grandparents, some of our parents worked for the same company for their whole career. They retired at 65 and they received a pension. They relied on Social Security income for supplemental income. They had less emphasis on their own personal investments because their company and the government was taking care of them, right? If you think about your grandparents or even some of your parents, they're retired with a pension and Social Security. They're not pulling from their savings and their assets because they didn't have to. It was taken care of for them. And the investments paid for supplemental retirement needs. Remember when we talk about our presentation now, the paychecks and playchecks, right? The investments that they had, their paychecks were taken care of by their pension and the government. Their playchecks came from their investments. Now we have to do something completely different, right? We have our new paradigm shift. The average person now works for 7 different companies during their career. That's a significant change. The 401k replaced the pension for many. And as we talked about last week, we are just now going into the new era, if you will, of the people that had to plan for themselves that won't have a pension retiring. Will they have enough in their 401k? Probably not, right? Number 3, retirement for many is mostly self-funded. Again, same conversation. And Social Security may cover very little of lifestyle requirements. Nobody can retire off $2,000 or $3,000 a month, which is what most people get in their Social Security check. And then some never fully retire, but choose to stay engaged at some level, whether they choose to never fully retire because they can't financially fully retire, or because they just want to stay active doing something out there in the world around them. But that's our new paradigm. This is the reality of people that are working and retiring today. So in summary, it's important to know what you're retiring to as it is what you're retiring from, right? We know what we're retiring from on our day-to-day jobs, but what are we retiring to? What do our weekends look like? What do our days look like? What do we want to do in that retirement section? Your retirement will likely look much different than your parents', obviously. And you'll have to adopt updated paradigms that reflect the new challenges that are facing today's pre-retirees. Our problems and our needs are different than our parents and our grandparents, which means our solutions need to be different than our parents and grandparents. And we have to really understand that paradigm shift, and we have to know where people are coming from, right? Is how they were taught and now the reality of today's world. So section number 2 is our tax rate risk. Tax rate risk. In this section, we'll discuss why tax rates could double, how our nation's debt may force tax rates to rise over time, the extent to which our nation's entitlement programs are underfunded, how rising tax rates may affect your cash flow in retirement, how lost deductions may affect your tax burden in retirement. So the old paradigm, you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. That's why 401ks were always, or originally when they started out, it was a great idea, right? Because the tax brackets were higher, and the thought was we'd be in a lower tax bracket when we retired. Do you want to say something, Jody?
I do, Kimberly. You know me too well, but
I see
yes,
you unmute.
I just want.
For some
I
reason.
know you know what that means. Guys, listen carefully. This is the presentation that Aki's team adopted and memorized when they built their whole team. Just so everybody's clear. You want to know secrets, you'll know where they got stuff. This is the presentation. So maybe you'll listen a little harder than you were a few seconds ago, but just letting you know that.
And these are the fundamentals. Like these, whether you use a presentation or you just use these stories in your conversations with your
Absolutely.
clients,
The wording
is what you have to talk about. Yeah.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we give you the entire script on the presentation, the downloadable version, so you know what to say exactly word per word in the downloadable. So there's an update coming on this section that was going to obviously facelift everything, but you don't, even if you don't know what to say, it does say below the actual PowerPoint. Sorry, Kimberly, just wanted to.
No, it's okay. That's awesome. But the other thing is,
hang on real quick. Sorry, it's my last thing, I promise. But just so everybody's clear, if you go learn this information, one is it will help you in your own life understand this stuff. 2 is you go get this mindset and then go use the presentation that's in Abacus a very simple one with this wording, you're ready to go.
Okay, I think they're done now. I'm just kidding. But even if, so let's look at this. Like, even if we don't have the words from the slide deck telling us what to say, I've never seen this presentation. I'm not reading the words from this presentation. I'm literally just reading the words that pop up on the screen to you as they pop up on the screen. So just read the words, right? It's not rocket science. The old paradigm says that you will be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. Right? Those are the words that pop up on your screen. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be very, very simple. And that is true, right? We know that. We know that that's why the 401k was invented and why we thought it was such a great idea. The other old paradigm, and think about your grandparents. You will be living on less income in retirement, right? My grandparents were living on less income in retirement because they didn't need as much in their mind, right? Tax deferred investing is the most effective way to build wealth for retirement. And then the new paradigm, and tax deferred investing is like your 401k, something like that, right? We're deferring taxes to pay them because we think they're going to be in a lower tax bracket. But now the new paradigm is your tax bracket may be higher in the future than it is today. I bet if you ask 10 people, 9.5 of them are going to tell you that they believe taxes are going up in the future. Right? You don't have to create a presentation around that. You ask that question, they will say, yes, taxes are going to go up in the future. Number two, you may need as much income in your retirement years as you did during your working years. Probably so, right? We've seen inflation. We've seen cost of goods. We've seen how things are becoming more expensive. And this is another thing just to remember to say to your clients, especially when you're talking about retirement, is, do you spend more money during the week or on the weekend? On the weekend. In retirement, every single day is a weekend. So you don't save money when you retire because now you got to find something to do. You're going out to dinner. You're trying to fill your time, right? So you may need as much income in your retirement years as you did during your working years. Number three, tax deferred investments should be contributed to only under prescribed circumstances. This is the new paradigm, right? Match money is free money. Take every penny of it. Over and above that, we should probably have a different conversation. So just understanding how things are shifting because our problems are shifting, our solutions have to shift. You may lose some of your greatest deductions in your retirement years. And I think this one is something huge to wrap your head around and understand what that means. Where did my deductions go? Many of the deductions you enjoyed during the working years vanished during retirement. What does that mean? Well, we're sold this dream, right, for whatever reason, which obviously you can tell by my tone, I don't agree with you paying off your mortgage, unless that's the last thing that you have to do. But we're sold this dream of paying off our mortgage, right? When we do, we also lose our interest on our mortgage. We don't have that deduction from our income anymore. Our children grow up. We don't have that deduction from our income anymore. We don't have tax credits or exemptions. We might not be giving anything to charity anymore because we're living off of everything that we're using. We're not investing in qualified plans anymore. So we don't have that pre-tax money coming out of our check. So it's possible to be in a higher tax bracket, even though our income is lower, right? At retirement. It's very, very possible for all of those different reasons. A brief history of tax rates. You guys have seen this from us quite often, right? 1913 to 2017, but you can see that in the mid 1945s, 1950s, we're literally almost at the higher than the 90% tax bracket. That doesn't make any sense, right? Now we're, closer to high 30s, I think is the highest marginal tax bracket. But are taxes going up or down? If you don't believe me that they're going up or you're not sure, then what factors could cause taxes to go up? Let's look at it. Let's ask those questions, right? Social Security. Do we have a problem with Social Security? Yes. Do I think it's going away? No, but we're going to have to figure out how to fund it, right? Where's the money coming from? Medicare and Medicaid. We have a responsibility as a country to provide Medicare and Medicaid to our elderly and to our lower socioeconomic groups, right? That is something that we do. And if it is not funded properly, where is it going to come from? It's going to come from taxes. Interest on the national debt. We could pull up the debt clock right here, right? I think it's nationaldebt.org or something like that, and see it continuing going up. We also know interest rates are higher than they used to be. So even if our debt stayed the same, our interest is more because interest rates are higher, right? Think about your credit cards. Think about your home equity lines of credit, not fixed interest rates. If the interest rates go up, you owe more money, regardless if the amount that you've borrowed is the same. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and things from that perspective. Department of Defense, are we going to war? What do they need money for? Prescription drug program, because we're taking care of our elderly people. Pension obligations for things that might not have gone that way, or government pensions. But the list goes on and on. So do I think taxes will probably go up in the future to supplement or help with some of these programs? Yes, I do. What are our country's biggest expenses? So in 2017, 71 cents of every dollar went to pay for 4 things: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and interest on national debt. 71 cents of every single dollar. It was projected that by 2020, these 4 expenses will consume 92% or 92 cents of every tax dollar, leaving only 8 cents of every tax dollar left for everything else in your life, right? Everything else that we pay for. So again, do you think taxes are going to have to go up, or do you think that they're going to stay the same? As of 2025, 102% of every tax dollar goes to pay for these 4 things: Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and interest on the national debt. To pay for everything else, the government has to borrow money. And ultimately, at some point, we can't borrow enough money. So where does the money come from? If you guys remember the lady that we had on that was a Social Security specialist probably 6-8 months ago, she pulled this up and did it very eloquently and said, there's nowhere else for it to come from other than taxes. They have to go up, right? David Walker, comptroller, let me move my little screen, general for 10 years under Bush and Clinton, head of GAO, Board of Social Security, CPA Hall of Fame, says, regardless of what politicians tell you, any additional accumulations of debt are absent dramatic reductions in the size and role of government. Basically deferred tax increases. Unless we begin to get our fiscal house in order, there's simply no other way to handle our ever-mounting debt burdens except by doubling taxes over time. The Congressional Budget Office says if Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid go unchanged, the tax rate for the lowest tax bracket would increase from 10% to 25%. The tax rate on incomes in the current 25% bracket would have to be increased to 63%, and the tax rate of the highest bracket would have to go from 35 to 88%. Okay. You don't believe me? Listen to what Congress has to say. Historical precedents, 2018 tax rates, you see what they are listed on the screen, lowest to highest. Future tax rates could be this. We just read it in that article before, right? And people say this isn't this, that it will never be that high. Well, look at what it was from 1960 to 1963. Lowest tax bracket was 26%. Highest tax bracket was 87%. Is that possible to replicate? Yes. History typically has a tendency to repeat itself, right? So we need to start learning about what our options are and what our choices are, especially in our retirement planning. Look, this presentation knows what I was going to say. What do we know about history? It tends to repeat itself. In summary, because of unfunded obligation, tax rates in the future could potentially be higher than they are today. There is a historical precedence for higher taxes. You may not have nearly as many deductions in retirement as you did during your working years, and retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs may be exposed to inordinate amounts of tax rate risk as we move forward in time. Where is the majority of people's money invested? In 401ks and IRAs, right? So again, our job, and we won't go into section 3 today. I'll save this for next week, and maybe we'll do 2 sections a week for a minute. But section 3 is retirement planning and distribution. Our job isn't just to tell them all of the problems, right? Our job is also to give them solutions. But if you don't make people uncomfortable, and you don't make them pull their head out of the sand, then sometimes they're not going to listen to you, that they're actually problems. So we're teaching them this, and then we're going to go through our products and tools and concepts and give them the best solutions to their particular situation that we can based on where they are today. But I think education and knowing what's coming is the best tool we can give anyone. So Mauricio, over to you. And you're muted.
That was phenomenal. And I also add that all of the events that I did, Chicago and other cities, we have that presentation. We have the promotional thing in Espanol. Also, the presentation is in Espanol as it is in English. I have this example here. We did College of DuPage, back in the day, and that's what is there. But now with what is happening, I wanted to take, since we have 15 minutes, I'm going to go on a limb a little bit. Hopefully, I'm able to show you how easy it is today to get people into a place. Because knowledge is, it is power, but it has to be applied. So they're great presentations. You have 18 of them. It means you could go a year and a half, have an event of the month, your creative marketing event of the month, and it's learning one of those a month. And then maybe if you take the whole month just to make sure you fill that room up. But I'm about to show you something, and I'm not 100%. Like I'm about to do something here that I like to do sometimes to just to put it out there and then make it a reality. Here's what I mean by that. I think we got the technology today that if you wanted to make that presentation to a group of 50 people by next week, you could actually do that. And so how does that look? I create a little prompt. I'm going to share my screen right now. I just want to make sure that I actually do have that little prompt. The prompt says, I'm hosting a free financial workshop for retirees who are worried about running out of money in retirement. The workshop will teach 8 proven strategies to make their retirement savings last longer and give them peace of mind. I want to reach people ages 60 to 75 in Florida who have at least 250,000 in retirement savings, but are anxious about market volatility and inflation in a way. I just wrote this as I was listening to Kimberly. Now I'm going to share my screen with you. I want you to see something. Let me share my screen. Okay. We're going to use a combination of tools that we have. One of them here is called AdFlux. This is proprietary. This does not exist anywhere else in the world other than here, not in this form. This was built for us for making sure you drive traffic. So what you want to do is you want to tell it what you're doing and maybe what the outcome you want. Describe your campaign goals. Like, if you have any campaign, and let's say the campaign is, I want 50 people to show up for my recruiting event, but I also want to make sure that I am compliant with FCC, SEC, FINRA, and I am compliant with Meta guidelines. Because, whenever you're promoting a business opportunity, a money-making opportunity, a financial opportunity, they have like a gazillion guidelines. Just one word that you add in there that excludes anybody, any minority or anything, you get banned. Your ad doesn't run, you get banned. What is happening, what we build behind this is we have every SEC rule, every FINRA, every Meta, everything. You could even on purpose write what you want with all, we're going to make $1 million by 1 week, just like Aki did it. We're going to do what Aki did in 1 week. You could really screw it up here in the front end. The tool is going to fix it for you and make sure that when you're actually ready to deploy it, it goes. But what it is you prompt it and you generate the campaign. The avatar, the AI avatar is not your face. If you want to be the one talking, just upload a photo and it's going to look like so real that it's almost impossible for them to know it's not you. I think we do have to have that little watermark, but you don't even have to do that. What I'm doing right now is I'm generating a prompt, and what it's going to do is going to create for me my date range, my age ranges, my occupation, the location, the current position they are in terms of what is the pain, the desired outcome, the pain point. In other words, I didn't have to come up with this. The algorithm in the back that we created does all this for you like the best marketer in the world. The value proposition, and then you have your avatar, which you are now going to generate for ads, copy, and prompt for your website in ZyberJuice. So it's going to generate everything. It's going to generate what you can put in terms of copy, the images, and the videos. You can just one click and have your ads running immediately. No need to log into Facebook or anything. Usually you have to connect your Facebook, but that took, I don't know, maybe even with explanation, took about a minute. This used to take weeks before. And even after it took weeks, it didn't have the formulation to be effective. Like if you were just lucky to get through the Facebook gatekeeper, right? Allowing your ad or your content to be able to be boosted without getting shut down. It was like a miracle, right? So it's going to tell me that if I want 100 people to RSVP, I should expect to spend between 800 and 1500, maybe best $400 based on the current CTR. We'll get into all this technicality later. I'm going to put tooltips so you understand the language of CPM, CTRs, CTAs, whatever. But what you're seeing is you're seeing the ads being generated and the videos being generated and the copy. Look at the story. Meet Michael, 50-year-old operator manager who worked hard for his family's future. Yet, as a retirement approaches, he finds himself drowning in anxiety about whether his savings will be enough. Michael tried various financial products but found them complicated and confusing. He felt lost navigating to retirement plans and feared outliving his savings, especially with the unpredictability of the market. One day, Michael stumbled upon a financial workshops tailored to mid-career professionals like him, offering clear, actionable advice, and et cetera, et cetera. So what you have is you have 5 different creatives, and then you can add 5 more. And you can have as many creatives as you want. And here's the landing page builder prompt that you can use just to bring to ZyberJuice, and it'll build you your website to land so that any traffic you get from it, you already have a site built. Does that make sense? This is where it's going. So it's a one click. So now it's like you just I can like I don't know if you guys getting this or not, but if somebody wants to sort of summarize here as we continue to count, this should be I don't know. I would suspect about 30 more seconds or so to get all your 5 creatives. But even though if that takes that amount of time, let me just kind of show you the other campaigns while this campaign builds. Like this one was created. You can see the ads come, the videos come.
Professionals, listen up. Discover the 21-day program to boost your career success.
So you have these videos and these
Career
ads.
pros, listen up. Discover a 21-day path.
So it depends what the campaign is about. Like this one was just the prompting was like a course, right? And so you have various, if you look here, you have various different campaigns that you are doing. These are all just testing to make sure that, oh, this is the same one we looked at. Let me just see here. We have, campaigns all the way over here. This one's the one running right now. So lead campaigns. So that the stories and the copy and all of that is, I think, it's mind-blowing because it used to really take you just to be able to have the right stories and the right copy. There's obviously AI is going to get way smarter as we utilize it to drive traffic to our various campaigns. What I'm excited about is that it will make sure that it's in line with FCC rules, the insurance departments, the SEC, and all these different entities that we have to worry about. A lot of different companies are sort of concerned of agents going rogue and just posting stuff on social media, violating all these different things. Well, if we are making sure that we are taking all of that in consideration and leveraging AI to make sure that any word or any phrase that is being used is within that scope, that is not much to worry about, right? And so what we do now is we generate the landing page prompt. I haven't even done this right now. It just was something that I did here in the morning, but it's going to generate the AI landing page prompt, and that prompt is what I'm able to take into the Cybersource platform, and then just build my site. And so what we have done with that, if you just kind of get that as a concept here, that you'll be able to experience, I would say maybe by next Monday, is that you solve traffic, you solve landing for capturing, nurturing, and then you have solve for production. Right? And that's ad, because there's also another option if you just want to do a lot of ad, like have your clone avatar have 20 messages and just put them out. If you say, well, what is my message? You know what? If I'm going to build a brand, if I don't have a podcast, if I'm not have a big camera, but I want to have cinematic style type me, so realistic, right? Can I just produce content around my message, even if I don't want to run Facebook ads, just because I want to do viral TikTok videos? Like, it's almost like having a little ad agency in the back working with you, for you, 24/7 producing, as long as it
Hey,
understands what your
Mauricio,
message is. Yeah.
I just wanted to add something on this, just so everybody can pull a thread together on all this. We're in a world that we have a message, like we got a great message, like today. We talked about great fundamentals and great companies backing us. But unless people get in front of us to hear it, it's no good. Unless we find ways to fill rooms, it's no good. And what we're talking about here, so you can understand how it all threads together, is that we're going to use, as we go forward, all the tools that are available. We're just letting you know, used to be you had to know all these things that you no longer need to know to go fill rooms. And we want all of you, just so you're clear, to have 1 or 2 or 3 events before the end of the year on some financial principle. I saw today one that a lady put out that was Will's Wine and something else, but it was about and wealth, and so it was those kinds of things. Well, you have those ideas. How do you fill those rooms up? And we're telling you right now that there's simple tools to help you fill those up. So I promise you that if you go put together an event, 2 or 3 events, I'm challenging every single one of you guys to go do 2 or 3 events on something to do with a financial principle that you're excited about. And we will make sure to help you understand how to fill those rooms up, even outside of your warm market. And that's what we're talking about right now. So I just kind of wanted to pull that whole thing together. Thanks, Mauricio.
Yeah, I think if we have 3 minutes, I do want to bring something else to your attention. I got a call from Prashant about an hour and a half ago. And he was like, hey, man, our people are really digging this Abacus thing. We've got a lot of his people now leveraging it. So we got to leverage it more. I'm saying our team has to leverage it, right? But it was a good thing to hear, because it still helps the company. And that is the objective. He just literally just called me for that. And he wants to get together at 6 o'clock what's the next thing. But then James had an experience. I was very happy to hear what he mentioned about a client he had that he took to this process and how involved. Like, what I kind of shared with him what happened is exactly what happened. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I just if we can hear from him, because I don't want you to be afraid. If most of these meetings are really taking place online, I found that whenever I share my screen and I invite the client to help me fill this in the process, there's something magical about that. It's like the trust grows. It's like they feel like we're taking the time to understand them. And now you've got this role of being an advisor. Same thing happens when you take it on paper, for sure, because you're asking the questions before you going in there and proposing solutions. Sometimes something is very simple. You take information and you realize all they need is some term. Great. I think digitizing things is good. So I don't know, James, if you even want to have a comment about that or not. Maybe I don't want to twist your hand on that. But that experience you went through is what I want you to share it, because I don't want people to be afraid to use technology to do this if you're here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, technology is everything, and that whole system, it takes all the guesswork out of the process because it is so efficient, And I think that when you sit down with someone and they work through that whole Abacus Wizard F&A with us, it's not only interactive between us and them and us, but really they're going to see fields in there where they'll have answers. They'll know what information to pop in there. And then there'll be fields where they'll have to guess, they'll have to think a little bit. Because there are questions that will be asked that have been asked that they've never maybe been asked before.
Yeah, like long-term
And
goals, right? It's like, oh, I've
yeah,
never really thought about my immediate goals, and that's okay if you get as much as you can. But and I know we're out of time, but just stay a few minutes if you can, guys. It's going to be worth it what I'm going to share with you right now. I'm sorry I cut you off there, James. I'm going to wrap that, but
Hey,
you're
Mauricio.
fine.
yeah.
Maybe I'll make you host because I've got another Zoom right now at 1, and I'm live
Yeah.
streaming, so I'll stop the live stream and make you host.
Yes, please. For those of you that can stay an extra 5 minutes, I highly recommend that you do. And Kimberly's gonna make me co-host or host, I think. Okay, I'm the host now. Okay, so here's what I want to share with you. So inside of the Abacus Wizard, well, I have to log in there real quick. As a matter of fact, just bear with me. It's gonna be worth it. I am going to go here and show you what we're cooking. Because this is what many of you, I'm sure, have been waiting for. And the interactiveness of the tool will help a lot. Like I said in our factory last night, being able to be in the field and using it myself with some clients, right? That I'm able to see the speed of how quickly I'm able to access information and how that from the videos that are there, from the one pagers, from the calculators, especially those 6 financial modules. So you can still do that. They will continue to be there for you. Now let me share my screen again. But the report, the being able to actually generate a nice full report. Where are you? Okay, let me blow this up. Okay, this is a little slow because it's development, but I want to show you. Let's see if it doesn't, because in development, things are a little slower. I'm going to pick on this, Diego, we always pick on, right? Somebody's got assets. You can take a look at the pictures. We already looked at the sales opportunities where you can see where the opportunities, but you're going to find this thing here called Financial Needs Report. And what it is, so you're no stranger to it, what it is that it is these 6 basics put into one report. So you can still keep interactive, because as I was talking to this client, this few days ago, he was saying, well, but I'm actually going to need less money, and money, I think I can earn more than 7%. So you can still have the dynamism here if you need it. So this is not going anywhere. But if you needed to print something here in the financial needs report, you can see what the health score of that client is based on the financial data that they're providing. So you can see there are some top priorities that talks about debt elimination, term insurance gaps, and build additional income. That's the 3 things that they need to address immediately. And then you have 2 ways. You have sort of a PowerPoint that is custom made for them. So you can have the PowerPoint slider, but this is PowerPoint that is made for them based on their situation. Because I filled out the F&A, I'm able to show, look, you did tell me you made $12,000 a year, a month, between you and your wife. right? But your net income is actually 8,000 after all the deductions that you take, any contributions you make. So your monthly expenses are 9,521. So you're actually negative cash flow. So in many cases, he's already saving. In other words, this is the net income. So if they're doing like 401k contribution, that comes from it deducts from their take-home pay, because when you contribute to those plans, right? So, but what it's doing is showing that this client has a negative cash flow. They need to earn more money. And it also says, if you talk about the amount of money that you need to have to retire, if Social Security is in the picture, you only need about 3 million and you are on track to have 3.3. So you actually have a surplus. But wait, what if Social Security was not around? Then that means your nest egg needs to be bigger, because that 30% income is not coming from a nest egg. It's not coming from Social Security. So your nest egg now needs to be 4.3. And you're only on track to have 3.3. That means you would need to save an extra 1,130, almost $2,000 a month to close the 900,000 gap. That's how important Social Security is, but it is also under threat, right? And so here's the HGI income solutions. Look, if you want to continue to make the bet on the fact that Social Security is going to be there in its current form, then all we need to do is address to make sure you cover the expense gap. And we have an opportunity here where, if your gap is 1,148, if you help somebody do an exercise like this, where they look at their financial picture and they take an action just by incorporating one of our solutions here, which is an IUL in this case, that's in an RMD level, that's $2,800 in commission. That's 145% more than you need to close your gap, because you need 1,148. One IUL cell is 2,808 as an RMD, right? But if you needed to do away or financially make sure that, you're playing it safer. If Social Security is there, great. It's a great cherry on the top, not the base of your financial plan. It's better to be the cherry on the top instead of the foundation. It's pretty shaky right now. So if we need to close the gap, which is 1938 plus 1,148, you have a total $3,000 gap. So that means you would do 2 retirement plans here, utilizing the power of IUL. And that's $5,600 a month. That is more than you need. You need 33,000. So that's 82% more. I don't know if I could check that, right? But do you get the idea? So you're having these conversations to solve the cash flow and income optimization, which is that first step to financial independence. And then you go to the next one, which is debt elimination. And this is going to become a reality. This is not fully formed, but I think if we keep working at the speed that we're doing, by tomorrow, this will have full form. And what it is that it's going to take those 12 concepts of debt elimination, and it's going to show somebody what is their best strategy to eliminate debt, like the most effective out of the 12 different strategies that we have, right? It's going to have live data. Like this will feed off of every day. Like today is 10/29/2025. So we have the real data of what rates are typically on average. And we'll have by company, 30-year mortgage, the HELOCs, because this is rate that if you paying a lot of interest on a lot of your debt, you can look into see if hiring, consolidating, or using equity or refinancing, whatever those strategy is cheaper money to eliminate the 17%, right? Or if you have a credit card at 17%, is there something out there that I have a 0% interest rate for 18 months that I can roll into to help a little bit? So we right now have this is live data. We have CD, double card, Chase Select, whatever. If you're gonna do like transfer, we have home equity, HELOC options with Bank of America or US Bank. These are real offers that are coming from outside. Now, we're not making any money from here, but I'm just saying when you add and you're able to show people, some people are paying like, especially in our community, right? I'm talking about the Hispanic community. They go to these dealerships that are paying like 19% interest rates on on credit card, on not credit card, but auto loans. You know, if they have good credit, and by the way, it talks about we added the credit and the F&A, so you're able to identify. You'll be able to do a lot of interesting things to arrest and to help people find the best strategy to eliminate their debt. Because just like there is $25 trillion worth of an insurance gap, there is $17 trillion in consumer debt. So we're gonna take that head on, and hopefully maybe Hubert, Steve will find a way once we actually have this, that any of those other products, whether they're licensed or not licensed, that people buy or use from you with another revenue source. That could happen. That could happen. But with that, I'll turn it back to Jody if he's still here, and if not, then I will see those of you that joined me today at 2:30 for the CyberSource training. We're gonna dive into that, and just stay tuned, because there's a lot of great things that are coming together now to simplify your life and for all of us to go and really explode this opportunity. So I think it is up to me to close it for today, unless you have any questions. If not, let's wrap it up. All right, guys. Good to see you all. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Mauricio.